of us that wants to do fishing close to the coastline, that's where the storm is going to migrate or move or propagate over. So they need to go a little bit deep into the ocean, but they have to do it with caution. If their boat is not big enough to withstand moderate winds, then they just have to back off and resurface tomorrow to continue their fishing activities. The water lake to the southern portions is also not critical. The part of the storm will be moving through that area, the joints between the Adan into the Pond, so Gakope area there. They also have to be extra careful. If anything, they should just let the system pass. By late afternoon, they can go back and continue their fishing activities. Temperatures will be around 31 over the coastal belt. For the middle sector, we are expecting it between 32 35 for the north. We are not expecting much rain and thunderclouds over the north. The atmosphere will be a bit open. We will just have some medium and some high clouds with few low clouds. So we expect temperatures between 37 and 38 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, Saturday, it's going to be an outdoor day for all of us.
That's right.
It's been pretty cool over most places. We can go out and do our outdoor activities. In the afternoon, we expect just a few areas in the eastern region and part of Ashanti, western and western north to have some rain and thunder. But Sunday is not looking good. We are expecting most places over the Goso area, Sunyani, Wenchi area, Katakrachi, Ashanti, Eastern Volta, to have rain and thunder clouds starting from late afternoon into the evening hours.
Thank you so much for that, Felicity. Thank you for that very comprehensive update. We'll keep an eye out on the storm that you say is brewing. And of course, we'll connect with you if anything does change.
All right. Thank you.
DJ Phil is on the ones and twos. We're ending Ghana Month in style with some local gospel. Fitting for this time of year where we're celebrating Ghana music. We're taking it back to our roots. Those of you writing in saying you're enjoying DJ Phil on the ones and twos, thank you. Keep it coming.
3 FM
If you have only just joined us, a very good morning and a warm welcome. It's the last day of the third month in the year 2023. We're seeing Ghana Month out in style. And Mr. William Asiedu is here. Mr. Godwin Asidiba also here. William, good morning to you. Godwin, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I am loving the ensemble. William is seeing out Ghana Month in true style. This fugu, you have to give us a let's see you, please. Say let's see you, 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 let's see you. Wow. Wow.
I love the yellow one.
Yes.
The one with the gold patterns. I love that. But this is also very nice.
Yeah, plenty. He has one blue one that we also like as well. Colors need here, we bring. You are also looking very colorful, but it's Godwin, it's Ghana Month. What's up?
Please, this is Fashion Over. Hello.
What when your bro what's it? This is what fashion over there. I'm going anytime. But it's good to see all of you this morning. It's the weekend edition of 3FM Sunrise. Today, a lot for you and I to sink our teeth into. But we'll kick things off with the news review. I've got the Ghanaian Times and the Finder newspaper this morning. We'll run through the headlines and then, of course, we'll take the details as we usually do. Myself, Godwin, and William. The Ghanaian Times this morning. Parts of the country to face 14-day power interruption. And if you check out 3news.com, we have a story there. Check days of no lights in your area per ECG's Doomsort timetable. Godwin, you gave us a few areas to look out for, but as the show progresses, we'll give you a full breakdown of what to expect. I'm not even sure if my area is captured. I have to go and take a look again at that communique. But 14 days of load shedding. I know they're looking at between 6 p.m. and I believe it's 11 p.m.
Yes, exactly.
So you'll have to, of course, make sure your clothing is ironed and charge your phone, all of that stuff. Whilst this exercise is ongoing. We'll talk more about it as we progress. NIA begins distributing backlogged 541,529 Ghana cards Wednesday. MP urges President to ratify amended Suicide Act. We'll find out exactly what they're referring to. Some 1.2 million power theft, 3 ECG workers and 7 others busted for stealing and money laundering. We're seeing the ECG hard at work these days, making sure that they collect monies due them. At the back page of the Ghanaian Times, green Ghana trees are flourishing. We've been talking about the trees which we plant year on year and whether or not we can get a breakdown or some accountability as to how the seedlings which we were told were planted are faring. I'll delve into that story as we progress. The Finder newspaper. Ministry denies politicizing road allocations. It's captured on page 6. NPP flag bearer raised. Bawumia must win campaign launched. The road to flag bearership is getting very interesting. 2022, Jubilee House had 361 political appointees. 163 worked physically at the presidency. 198 worked with other state agencies. Off the top of my head, some of the breakdown figures I saw, some 44 senior staff, not exactly sure what the precise designations are. You have, as I mentioned, 163 working physically, the rest, I suppose, working remotely, and so on and so forth. The Finder newspaper is quite good at giving a breakdown, so I'm sure they will have more for us, and they do indeed. We'll get into that. Lastly, pension scheme may be cancelled with change in government, and they say cocoa farmers are speaking. Gentlemen.
We move on to the custodian this morning. Mahama to give awards for more NDC votes. Aspiring presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has announced an award scheme that will reward branches and constituencies of the party that work hard to increase the party's parliamentary and presidential votes in 2024. Atufosin ordered to open defense. The High Court in Accra has ordered the minority leader, Dr. Kesil Atufosin, to open his defense in the case involving the purchase of some ambulances. He has been accused of willfully causing financial loss to the state in the purchase of the ambulances during his time as Deputy Minister for Finance, which prosecutors argue were unfit for purpose. Kamala extols Bawumia's skills in Ghana. United States Vice President Kamala Harris has commended Ghana's impactful Vice President Dr. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for spearheading innovative initiatives of the government, including massive digitalization of the economy and medical drone delivery system in the country. And lastly, Akufo-Addo submits staff list for presidency to Parliament. President Akufo-Addo has submitted to Parliament the annual report on staffing positions of the Office of the President, covering the period from January 1 to December 31st, 2022. The report is in pursuant to Section 11 of the Presidential Office Act 1993, Act 463, which reinforces the President's commitment to transparency and accountability. That's for the custodian. Business Finder. Work begins on crucial policy to harness full benefits of downstream aluminium industry. Banking at doorsteps. EcoBank Ghana Post signed deal, and U.S. offers $1 billion support for women-led businesses. We move on to the Republic Press. 7. The Republic. Attoforcing was not over. Directed to open defense in ambulance trial. ECG credits racketeers charged in 2.1 million theft case. And police grab social media desperados. China proposes global civilization initiative to strengthen cultural cooperation. Over 500,000 Ghana cards ready to be distributed. That's according to the National Identification Authority. Getting married to one person doesn't seem normal to me. I won't do it. We'll get into the details when we come back.
Who's saying that?
We'll get into the details when we come back.
We'll get into the details.
So what I have with me is the Observer. And they have some news from the camp of the NPP saying that Bawumia must win, launched in grand style.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's prioritize fight against terrorism and violent extremism, and that is coming from President Akufo-Addo. We also have Vice President Harris takes a bold stance in defense of democracy with her visit to Tanzania, and Ghanaians are dead opposed to LGBTQIA+ activities. And we have more stories from the U.S. Vice President, who singles out Bawumia's medical drone delivery service for praise, and AMA engages stakeholders on progress of ICA pilot program in Accra. NDC should choose their battles well, and that is coming from Sotum MP. And China proposes global civilization initiative to strengthen cultural cooperation. And Kamala again saying that's investment to empower women, and I think she delved deeper into that when she engaged some people at the Black Star Square some days ago. And global system bankrupt, time for Africa to take care of itself, and that is coming from Akufo-Addo again. And somewhere in the eastern region, Deputy Finance Minister donates to 100 Muslim communities. I'm sure that is to aid in the Ramadan as well. And sack sluggish, incompetent KGTIA board, and that is coming from the KGTIA traders telling government. Yes, and the Ghanaian Observer is also saying that Bawumia's competence, sacrifices, and loyalty, and I'm sure it has to do with the launch of the Bawumia Must Win initiative and integrated aluminium industry progressing, and that is coming from the Lands Minister, and Attoforsen ordered to open defense. Yes, so that's basically what the
Helen, now
Observer is also saying.
Curious question as to who was saying what.
Yes, please.
Getting married to one person doesn't seem normal to me. I won't do it. That's coming from your friend One Love Kubolo.
Oh, okay. See, that comes as no surprise then.
Yeah.
Well,
having 10 children with different women. He has 10 children with different women. One Love the Kubolo has ruled out the possibility of getting him married to any woman out of his life. According to the Ghanaian artist, the concept of marriage doesn't make sense to him. One Love once got married legally in the United States somewhere in 2006. However, he says it wasn't for him to become a husband. But quite frankly, he's speaking as an African, because we don't believe in one woman. Africans, we are allowed to have multiple women.
Yeah,
polygamy is allowed. It's just that if you go through the ordinance, the people, and you sign that one, you are supposed to be locked down to one. But if they lock down with the ring, do they still stick to one woman?
That's the thing.
Question.
That's the question.
So we are deceiving ourselves. That's the. We were brought up in families where our fathers had multiple women and several children.
Yeah.
And so it's a very debatable subject.
Yeah.
But I don't think what he's saying is anything new.
Coming from someone like him is
it's not like him. It's not about him saying it, but where we are in Africa, polygamy is allowed. So if he says he can't get married to just one woman, I think it's in tune with his African, if you like, cultural considerations. I like the way you're smiling, Helen.
One Love is an interesting character. The women that he has children with, they are all over the globe. I know some of the children have some very interesting names. Global father. Absolutely.
Ghana to the world.
Ghana to the whole world, yes.
But I would always advocate one man, one woman, because the experience I've had tells me that it's better that way. Especially when
I don't agree.
And multiple children and you don't structure things well in this modern world.
Yeah.
You have one property and you pass and there's no will, there's no direction. The children are knocking themselves against each other and there's so much confusion. So if you have one man, one woman, you have your children, you plan for them, you live peacefully, they also live peacefully.
But those who are successful at polygamous marriages, who do it well, I think that community is also helpful. My granddad had 23 children with 6 women.
Wow.
And was able to,
a strong man.
Very strong man. He was a teacher in Koko.
Okay.
Yeah, teacher. Teacher Appiah was the name. And he found a way
He was pissing all over the place.
Oh, he was, Anyway, rest in peace, granddad.
Wow.
But he found a way to make it so that all 23 kids got along. They have different moms. At some point, I don't even know whose mom is who.
Wow.
Even with the half brothers and half sisters, they were all together. We recently had a family reunion in 2019, and they all came together. So he was one of the people I know was able to do it effectively to the point where sometimes even you are child A, you can go to your stepmother's house for holidays and rotate like that. A very good and strong community, even till this day. So when it's done well, it's
you
good.
agree with me that then the society wasn't materialistic.
Yes.
Get small thing. I mean, some of us, our fathers had cars when they were in their 40s and even 50s. But these days, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds are chasing everything. So if you have a property as a father and you don't sort it out properly and you pass,
you have a lot of problems. And sometimes it's after passing that people discover they have a half sister here, half brother there. It happens a lot. But even going far back, the concept of marriage has now changed. Back in the day, marriage was really for the purposes of, shall I say, business. You're a farmer, you see another farmer, you want to grow the farm. Really, it was necessary for increasing, your productivity in the farms. That's what really marriage was about, partnership. These days, marriage for romance is a new concept. It's very new. So back then, the things that would work these days, not so much.
Marriage of convenience.
And that's something I think we should park and discuss on a Friday.
Because marriage is basically what gives the ground for family.
That's right.
Whatever marriage you're talking about, whether it's ordinance, Mohammedan, traditional, that's where the children come. And if we don't talk about it to strengthen it, then have all kinds of children getting all kinds of training that will impact the way the country even develops.
That's right.
Some people say it's so far-fetched, but I don't.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. All right, let's move on. In the Ghanaian Times, page 11, parts of the country to face 14-day power interruption, beg your pardon, as the Ituabo, please help me with the pronunciation. Ituabo gas plant shuts down for maintenance. Now, parts of the country are expected to experience interruptions in power supply for 14 days as the Ghana Gas Company Limited temporarily shuts down its Ituabo gas processing plant for maintenance. According to the Ministry of Energy, the exercise started on Saturday, when completed would ensure the reliability of the gas processing plant and transmission infrastructure in the country. A statement issued by the Communications and Public Affairs Unit of the Ministry yesterday said the Electricity Company of Ghana is expected to release a schedule for the power supply interruptions. Godwin, that's a schedule that you were reading to us briefly. We'll get into that as we progress. Still sticking with the Ghanaian Times, I'll reconcile, sanitize political atmosphere to enhance development. And guess who is saying this? This is flag bearer hopeful Alan Tremanting. Now, flag bearer aspirant of the New Patriotic Party NPP, Alan Tremanting has promised to reconcile the citizenry and sanitize the political atmosphere to enhance the progress, growth, and development of the country. I'm quoting him here. He says, the country currently needs a leader to reconcile the people and sanitize the political atmosphere towards enhancing progress, growth, and development of the nation. Even though we always agree and disagree on pertinent issues, he stressed. Mr. Tremanting urged citizens, though they may always agree and disagree on issues of national interest, to always remain united and peaceful. These are all great declarations. This is wonderful. Reconcile, sanitize, create a harmonious political atmosphere. I find it interesting. He says the country currently needs a leader to reconcile. So is he saying that the country currently lacks that type of leadership? That's what I'm inferring from what he's saying. If we need one, that means we are currently lacking one. Interesting. Did he share those sentiments? Did he feel the same way?
These are all pre-election talks.
This is pre-election yobbies.
Pre-election talk. I mean, we hear them, and when they come, you tell them, an appointee is doing ABC, they tell you to go and bring evidence. I mean, so he's free to say what, it's a free country, so all the comments, I mean.
Well, Bawumia has launched his Bawumia Must Win campaign. BMW.
6 cylinders.
I love that. We're going to see if that lights a fire up there. Up the behind and changes the tactics. But some more stories from you, gentlemen. Godwin.
Yeah, so should we delve a bit deeper into Bawumia's?
Let's do that.
So Dr. Bawumia has what it takes to win the 2024 elections from the NPP. He cuts across all spheres in Ghana and can be best described as the United Nations of Ghana. And that is from Dr. Jesse Bwako. The vice president is yet to declare his intentions to contest to lead the NPP in the 2024 general elections. But political watchers believe it's a case of when he would make the declaration. Vice President Bawumia has demonstrated great competences and exceptional leadership quality in leveraging technology to improve the correct and structural deficiencies of traditional economy. He further explained, and he also highlighted the immense contributions of Dr. Bawumia that have affected the economy positively. He mentioned that the fact that clearing agents, freight forwarders and the general public can clear their goods using a paperless system. Other speakers at the event, which included sitting MPs and CEOs, also eulogized the vice president in many ways, which they urged the delegates of the party to vote massively for the vice president. So those were some words from Dr. Jesse Bwako, trying to praise Bawumia for some of the things he has done.
His work in the digital space, though, I think has come up a number of times, and I think that's what he's standing on quite strongly with this campaign of
quite
his.
Quite commendable.
I mean, what for me is hurting the BMW campaign is how he came into the political space and how he's carrying himself out now. Because you see, he came hard on the economy.
That's right.
He held public lectures across the country. He listed things that the previous government wasn't doing. He even challenged them to come and answer some questions. I don't remember the number of questions, 140 something, 170 something. And now when the economy is getting so tight, it's getting so crunchy, and people are asking him to come and speak to the issues, he goes digital. And that is what is hurting. Okay, maybe the digitalization now may not be appreciated because people think that they have ready questions for you to answer in respect of the economy.
Right.
What he's doing is good. It will have its effect later. But we're saying that the exchange rate, which you spoke about, and the policy rate in terms of interest rate, all the macro economic environment indicators that he said will expose the government.
Right.
They are exposing the government now because everything is gone. Inflation is 53, 52%. Down from 54. It has gone as high as 54.1. We've had interest rates as high as 40%. Today, the dollar is around 12 cedis.
That's right.
And all the indicators are just too tight, and you are coming out with more taxes. You said we'll go from taxation to production. So people are asking, is it the same Bawumia who was talking like that? Why is he not talking about these figures and numbers now? He's talking about digitalization.
He has parked that side.
And there's a minister responsible for that space, who is very vocal as Dr. Bawumia.
Yes.
So why is Dr. Bawumia taking that shine from Mrs. Esla Uzu Ekufo?
Yeah.
That's a space, digitalization and communication.
That's right.
So even if the idea is yours and you run it through the ministry, it is still your government's thing that you can use to campaign. But he has jumped onto that digital path and is running with it.
Yes.
It's flying like the drone. But we are saying that the economy is not doing too well. And the way Ghanaians are expecting him to come and give us the Adam Smith, the Walwale Adam Smith kind of, messages about the economy, we are not getting. And for me, if you ask me, I don't trust him in that respect because he made so much fun of the previous government.
Right.
So much fun. Every time he spoke, he even had laughter in his voice.
In fact, he would finish and laugh.
Yes.
Yes.
He would laugh at them. Incompetent. He made us understand and believe that the former president was incompetent when he came to the economy, and he, as deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, had the magic wand to come and turn the economy around. And now he's going digital.
Because I think, as you've mentioned, because if he ventures into that side, the very questions you're asking now will be put to him. And I believe once he sets off on that campaign trail, these questions will come up and he'll have to answer.
Yes.
That is when he'll have to answer, because I know he's heard the calls to come back and speak.
The last time he had the opportunity to answer at the University of Ghana or thereabout, he started talking about he changed the analogy from a carpenter doing some roof, and his people were sitting and trying to understand
what he was trying to say.
Do you know, I believe that former President Mahama became very popular when he was the deputy minister for communication. When Ghana was entering the 2000s, we had the Y2K.
That's right.
Issue. I don't remember.
You were
the
Y2K compliance.
And the way he handled it shut him up.
Yeah.
So if there's a ministry for digitalization and communications, and there's a minister there, we expect the minister to shine, not the vice president. Because that is the minister's core mandate. The vice president is the head of the economic management team. So let's talk about the economy. I'm not saying that digitalization is not part of the economy, but the hardcore things that he spoke about, the macroeconomic environment, the indicators that will say that will expose the government. Is he saying that those things have been exposed this government? I think they have. So he should come and speak to those. He's getting the plaudits for drones and for innovations here and there. Well, I'm not going to judge him on those because that's not what he came on. He came on the economy. So we'll take him back to the economy and we'll deal with his campaign on the economy as he did in 2020 and 2016.
We'll see how that
one
unfolds.
of the achievements he's using to campaign has to do with the operation of the zip line that was conducted to provide blood and vaccines
Still technology
across countries, and currently over 50 million deliveries have been made. But recently I heard someone asking on Twitter if it was still operating, and he also introduced the mobile money interoperability to be able to transfer money from.
Did he better it or introduce it?
Anyway,
we need to find out. I don't think he introduced it.
You don't think he introduced it, but that's what he's mentioning.
He improved that one. We will give it to him. He improved the situation, but I don't think, because when Harun Idrisu was around, that discussion was already on the table as communication minister.
Right.
I mean, if that's not the case, I stand to be corrected. But what I think and I know is that he did not introduce that concept. He saved us some money with retweaking and those kind of things.
Okay.
So, if you mention Dr. Bawumia, all I think about is the economy and not digitalization.
Wow.
And it's because of the way he came.
That's right.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to have a lot of questions to answer when it's crunch time. I think so far he's been insulated from these questions, and he's found a way to back away from what's happening with the economy. But once he has launched this campaign, he is going to have these tough questions to answer. Everything that he said in the past will come back to haunt him.
Exactly. And this time during the campaign, we're not going to just take what they say and follow. Then when they say this one has this done it, then we say no. People are watching.
Of course.
We'll open our ears and eyes and watch and listen. Yes. Because when you mention law in this country, Nana Akufo-Addo's name will come up top.
That's right.
When you mention the economy, Dr. Bawumia's name will come up. Dr. Dufour's name will come up. We know.
Yeah.
So when you mention digitalization, it is not that you are coming up, but there's a minister responsible. So maybe that's what he wants to be remembered for. But I'm saying that's not what he told us he was come to do.
Yeah.
So
We'll
the
see how
economy is not good,
that
looking
unfolds.
good, and he should come and talk about it.
Yeah.
It's 11 minutes to the top of the hour, and again, I have to mention that there will be no Johnny's Bite this morning. Johnny's still under the weather. We're asking for speedy recovery for our brother and friend. Page 2 of the Finder newspaper says Jubilee House had 361 political appointees. The total number of political appointees working at the office of the president as at the end of 2022 numbered 361. And the Finder newspaper gives a breakdown. 2 ministers of state and 44 senior presidential staffers. 315 other political appointees. I looked at the communique. It doesn't break down what the different departments and or designations are. The figures are contained in the annual report on staffing at the office of the President, submitted to Parliament for the period January 1, 2022 to December 31, 2022. And this is subject to Section 11 of the Presidential Office Act. Now, the report covers 3 key areas, namely the number of presidential staff employed at the office of the President during the period, the ranks and grades of these staff, and the employees of other public services assigned to the office of the President. We're told 163 work physically at Jubilee House. Now, a release issued by the Communication Directorate of Jubilee House pointed out that of the 361 persons who are political appointees at the office of the President, 163 work physically at Jubilee House. I'll leave the rest of the breakdown for when we delve into the matter. But 361 political appointees. We've been talking about the size of staff, or the staff number at the office of the President. What do we make of this? 315 other political appointees. I'm hoping that some breakdown will come soon, just for us to get a picture of the various roles.
Yes, especially because the office of the President extends beyond the Flagstaff House.
Okay.
You know, because so if you mention that the presidency has so many people working, people think that they are all in the Flagstaff House. I mean, even the political appointees, some operate outside the office of the President. So, like, as you were saying, we need the breakdown. The last time I checked, even places like the Parks and Gardens, they are all part of the presidency. You know, so we need to check and be sure. But of course, it doesn't also take away the fact that the appointees are too many. And we always use the communication and media space in the government as a pointer to the fact that we have too many people.
That's right.
To the point that we have communication director, deputy communication director, we have a media advisor, and we have Minister of Information with his deputy. Too many people talking for the President and the government. So I don't think that number is going to come down, because if the President was looking at cutting down, he would have done it by now. We've spoken about this for how many years? Opposition is talking about it, the media, everybody is talking about it, but it's not listening. So I don't know how else we can go about this matter. A number of people in government, so many people in government.
During the SONA, I recall the President touching on this briefly. I think that's what he was referring to, alluding to, where he says that he felt it necessary to appoint a lot of people, or to have a lot of hands on deck, because of the speed, he says, with which he was looking to implement his policies. And I think, yes, he reiterated that there was a need to have these many people because of, he says, the job at hand is big, it needs a lot of hands on deck, and also the speed with which he was looking to complete is why he has so many appointees.
And you see, sometimes I also want to go back to the law, like I always do. The law gives him so much space to appoint. Too many people for him to appoint. So many. The government, the President has the power to appoint so many people to all the state agencies, ministers, deputy ministers. The list is too long for one person to appoint, and that makes him so powerful. So I'm sure the Constitution Review Committee, they've taken a look at that, and I don't know the details now, but I think that thing should be looked at, so that some of the powers should be taken away from the President, so that we don't push too many people into the space and put so much pressure on the national purse.
Important. Godwin, what else do you have for us in the papers?
Okay, so I have more stories here on the ABC News, and let's go into the LGBTQIA plus issues. And Ghanaians appear to be united against the activities of LGBTQIA plus persons. Thus, they have demonstrated in their condemnation of discussions about these activities. Ghana, though a secular nation, has belief systems which find LGBT LGBTQIA activities not being okay. The religious beliefs as well as the traditional values and cultural norms also frown on men sleeping with men and women sleeping with women, to the extent that the country's leaders over the years have taken a firm stance against the activities, which speaks volumes of how the people reject these activities. Our churches have vehemently condemned discourses surrounding the activities, and our mosques have barred their teeth to same. It is against these backdrops that some private persons sent private members' motion to Parliament for LGBTQIA plus activities to be criminalized. Ghana's Parliament is rounding up its scrutiny of the bill and has indicated that sooner than later the bill will be passed into law to safeguard the Ghanaian society. And I'm sure we've heard from the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babin, who has made his stance on the issue, saying that the president should have been clear with his words, and also the person who has been pushing for it, Sam George, saying that this was the opportunity for the president to make it known to the U.S. Vice President that this is where Ghana stands when it comes to the issue. But Bagbin is also saying that no matter what the president says, it is going to be, they are going to frown upon that. Which is, the bill is going to be passed.
It's more conversation on that, and we watch how that unfolds. We'll do one more story, and then we'll make way for the business news at 7. 1.2 million Ghana cedi power theft, 3 ECG workers and 7 others busted for stealing and money laundering. Now, 3 employees of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, who allegedly conspired with the vendor to manipulate a software of the company, resulting in power theft leading to some 1.2 million cedis of prepaid credits, appeared before the High Court in Accra, charged with stealing and money laundering. You have Ali Shaibu, a computer programmer at the ICT department at the head office, Grace Gardner, chief supervising cashier of the ECG district office at Kaswa, and Anthony D.K. Kwe, a technician at the ECG district office in Kaswa. These are the 3 ECG workers who, in conjunction with others, decided to steal from ECG. Well, they've all pled not guilty to the charges. In 2003, ECG entered into partnership agreement with various companies, including Electrometer, to distribute prepaid power to customers across the country. Private dealers were tasked to engage in the sale of credits as well. The prosecution told the court that the first accused, Ali Shaibu, traveled to Hohoi in 2016 to resolve a prepaid connectivity challenge for the 7th accused. The court held that the 2 agreed that the software would be manipulated to enable prepaid credits to be sent to Gariba, that's the 7th accused, without the knowledge of the district office in Hohoi. So they found a way to, allegedly, we're told, manipulate the software and then ultimately steal power, which is unfortunate because you and I then bear the brunt of power theft. We were told in 2022 that we lose almost, 80 million cedis a year to power theft in I believe it was it Tamale alone? In Tamale alone. So across the board, and we know that we have, as we're told, ECG workers themselves colluding with members of the public carry this out.
We have ECG officers who engage landlords to bypass the cabling when they are wiring their houses, so that what happens is that the sockets that handle those heavy equipment like fridge, air conditioners are not in the meter.
I see.
Yes. And there are some that they bypass the system so that in the morning when ECG people will come around, they put it on another line so that you know that they are onto the grid. But in the evening, they remove it and put it in the bypass. And that's what they use. So there are a lot of things. These are things that we know. And they know. The ECG know. They know. So if you are using air conditioners, washing machines, fridges, those are very high consuming appliances, irons.
Irons, that's right.
Blenders, heaters, kettles.
Yeah.
And whilst you are using those, they don't pass through the system to be recorded in the meter for you to be charged. Then we are losing a lot of money. I cannot do that. It's only a technical person like these electricians and ECG staff who do those things. And some have as many as 4 phases. Wow. One phase is for the day, another phase is for this. So during the day, the phase that the ACG may come around and check. That one
is working.
And it's working because the lights are off, so he's not even recording anything.
But I'm told the new meters cannot.
Well, so these are things that's why we are having all these stories coming up, and it's good that they look at these things and check. And there are people, especially those who are using the post-speed meters. A lot of them don't. And this SHEP, is it the self-help electrification project? SHEP. Some of the MPs went to, promise meters for the communities, and for a long time they were not paying.
The Minister of State designate for local government and rural development, Mr. Sebonso Amwa, has also inaugurated a 5-member committee to investigate the March 15 fire outbreak that swept through a portion of the Ketia market.
Yeah, and we spoke about that yesterday.
Yeah.
With the board chairman.
The vice. That's right, the vice chairman on the board. More on that, but it is exactly 7 a.m. We're parking it here for the news review to make way for the business news. Do stick with us. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
3FM.